I think it's good. I think for an iPad, this is the most comprehensive DAW that you can get right now, and it gets the job done. Hey, what's going on, guys? Adil Constantine here. Today we are gonna take a look at Logic Pro for iPad. We've been waiting for it. Talked about it when they announced it, and today we get to actually dive in and check it out. I've had it for 24 hours. It came out yesterday, and I wanted to kind of at least spend 24 hours to get to know it a little bit better before I make a video about it. So yeah, first thoughts, first impressions. I was thinking it's like Logic Pro and GarageBand for iPad. Like if they had a baby together, this is what you get. So it looks just like Logic Pro on Mac, except a few things that are different. It's not gonna match all the features one-to-one. There are definitely things here that are different than the Mac version. And also there's some feature on the Mac version that you won't see it on here. But anyways, this is my kind of first impressions. It looks good. To me, like, software UI is very important. I want it to basically look pretty, but also not super complicated. I don't want it to be like, I don't know what I'm doing. I want it to be able to like, oh, this all makes sense. The transport controls are right here. These are my tracks. I can just hit record and get to do my thing. So let's dive in. I'm going to do a little bit of overview about the app itself and what's different about it. And then at the end, I kind of will share my thoughts about, you know, what I really feel about it right now that I've used it for 24 hours. So let's dive in. All right, so as you can see here, we have a project loaded up. This is the beat that I just made. If you kind of go back, if you click on, so this is our project name. If you click on this arrow right here, it will take you to the files. And this is where you'll see all your projects. The first thing is, I have to tell you right now, is I've hit this arrow several times thinking I'm going back in the browser, because if I click over here, see there's like two arrows. I kept hitting that and it was driving me nuts. But anyways, so starting from the top, we got the project title, and then we got our transports, kind of going back to, you know, rewind to beginning, play, record, looping, and then you have obviously your time signature and all that stuff. You can actually change all this if you want. And then you have the metronome, if you want to hear it or not. It tells you what key. It's a 4/4 C major. And then over here, we got a help icon over here. Basically, if you want to check out some of the lessons, they already have lessons on here and tutorials in the app. You can click on that and kind of learn more about the app. And then right here, the three dots, this will kind of get you into the settings, where you can kind of change all the stuff about, you know, audio, recording, MIDI, and all that stuff, project settings. And then also the other thing was customize control bar. This is what I was talking about earlier. By default, it comes where it just shows it just beats, the position by beats. But I kind of like having beats and time. So there we go. And then going down a little bit, then we have our function buttons over here. Starting from the left, this right here will take us to our session view, kind of like Ableton, where you have session view, and then this will take you back to arrangement view. This is the normal track view, and if you click on this, this will get you to automation, if you want to draw in some automation in here. And then we have these functions right here where you can trim, loop, if you want to split and cut. It's pretty cool. Like you can kind of move this wherever you want. And then if you swipe down, then it'll split it right there. This undo right here is your friend. Right here we got stretch. If you want to kind of like work on audio, stretch it. This right here is a multi-select. If you click on that, you can now select multiple clips. Otherwise, it's only one at a time. And then this right here is our copy option if you want to copy a clip. And that's it for those function controls. Down here, obviously, you have all your tracks. And if you want to add a new track, you can click on this button, and then it will tell you what kind of track do you want to add, whether it's a MIDI or audio, a pattern, or a drummer. MIDI, obviously it's a MIDI track. Audio is like an audio track if you want to record audio. And then patterns is like a step sequencer. So if you click on that, you'll see that we have, let me click on that. It's just a step sequencer. And then the other option is a drummer, which is pretty cool. Like I've never used this before, but you can kind of select, it's like a drummer plugin. And like if I want to just solo this, and then you can kind of like add more intensity, complexity, change the genre, hard rock, pop rock. Anyways, I'll do more videos about more in depth on these different plugins, but for now I just kind of wanted to show you the overview of all these functionalities on here. And let's get rid of this. And then after that, so like after these, if you have any patches and loops and samples, you can actually also access them from here. As far as the tracks themselves, they're pretty simple, self-explanatory. You got the mute, solo, record for each one. You got the fader to control, the gain on the track. And now moving down to the bottom menu. So as we saw earlier, this is our browser. This is how you get to all the sounds that you have. So right now we're in instrument patches. You can also check out the audio patches. And with all these, it's nice because when you click on the icon, it previews those audio files. And same thing with loops. We also got loops here. And so on and so forth. Now, if you want to access more sounds than what you have here, then you can go to the sound library, and here you will see we have all these so far as of release yesterday, all these different sound packs and plugins that you can basically add to your library. All of this is, you don't have to pay for these. These are all included in your subscription with Logic Pro, which I'll talk more about that later on. And now let's close this and go back. So other than the browser, when you close that, then we can go to the inspector. So on here, you can kind of change the track. So basically right now it's a track inspector. We're on the track. We can kind of select what the color is. I believe you can also go more. If you want to transpose, velocity, and all that stuff, we can also, like if it's a MIDI, then you can get to quantize. Like you can have the quantize on or off to quantize some of those tracks for you, and that's at the region level. So we were earlier at the track level, and then you can get to the region level, and that's when you can set the quantize. And then at the end, I believe you have region defaults. I think this is like as a whole. I'm not sure yet. I can dive more into this in another video, but basically I've used it so far mostly for quantizing, and it's been great. To close it, you can just click on this. And then now over here, this is basically like a track mixer. So no matter what tracks you're on, if you're on this guy, now you can control the fader. You got the fader for that. It's going to control this track if you want to pan, mute, solo, etc. But this control right here is going to be based on whatever track you have selected. At the bottom now here we have the edit menu. So let's say I have this right here. If I click on that, I can edit the MIDI for this clip right here, and then in this MIDI view, in this edit view I should say, you have kind of same functions. You can trim, you can pencil in, brush, you can even like copy. There you go. Let's move to velocity. You can change velocity and then copy if you want. Whoa. This is where you can edit your clips, whether they're MIDI clips or if they're audio clips. You can do that in this window right here. Now the next one is this is the plugins on that track. So whatever plugins you have, like right now we're on this track right here, and those are the plugins that we have on this track. You can add MIDI plugins, MIDI effects right here, or you can add audio effects right here. And what's cool about all these plugins is that if you double tap them, it's weird, like the pencil sometimes works, sometimes it doesn't. I think it's glitchy with the app as of right now, but if you double tap them, then you kind of get into the bigger view where you have more controls of that that plugin. And you can bounce within this maximize detail view, you can bounce around the different plugins and modify them that way as well. And then now the last one we have is the mixer. This is pretty self-explanatory. Over here you got all the different tracks, and you can see all the plugins that are on them, and you can kind of control them, the fader, panning, all that stuff. And you can actually stack all of these views depending on how big your iPad is. I mean, it's kind of weird to have all these open, but one cool trick that I found out is if you double tap down here, then it closes everything and you kind of get back to this view. The last but not least that I want to cover is the piano roll over here, or it's kind of like an instrument, or like the player, how you want to play those notes. So this is the default. It's basically just a piano roll. If you want to kind of like move around, you can click on this guy, and then you can kind of scroll to go octaves down or octaves up. And then this right here is the play. And then you can turn on sustain and all that stuff. But what's cool, what I liked over here, obviously you can set your scale, but it's the different ways that you can play an instrument. So right now we have a piano roll, but if we click on this, we can change the play surface. So right now it's a keyboard, but we can go into a drum pad if we want. So you can, you know, kind of like having drum pads, and you can make beats that way. Or you can do fretboard, so kind of like a guitar. This kind of reminds me of GarageBand right here. It's cool because like with this now you can kind of pitch bend some of these, like just like how you would do on a guitar, which is kind of cool. And the next one is chord strips. This is pretty cool too, because now you're playing chords, but as you go up, it gets higher in octaves, or you can go low on octaves, but you can kind of just, you know, play chords that way if you want. And then the last one is guitar strips. This is like actually playing a guitar, especially like on GarageBand. This is when you click over here, it's strumming it, or you can strum it yourself, or just play single strings. So yeah, this is it. It's pretty cool. It's pretty straightforward. I'm liking it so far. And what I would say is some of the stuff that kind of like that bugs me about it is, like, as you can see here, I have my SSD plugged in. I just really wish I can access all of those files and my samples through the browser, but I can't. The browser, I can only get the sounds that I can obviously get from the sound library. Now, that doesn't mean I can't use those. I can actually put them in my track by, let's go back here. If I open up my files, I can actually have this in a slide overview and go to Logic. So now I have it right here. So I can drag in, you know, a sample if I want, and I can just put it here on a new track. Then at that point, I can select, let's say, a drum machine designer. And just like that. So you can use your own samples. It's just not friendly, not user friendly. I wish I can access all of these through the browser since I have my SSD connected. So that takes me to my frustration when it first came out. It was announced is that it costs $4.99 a month or $49 a year. Is that like, okay, why am I paying for this on monthly basis? You know, it's just an app, whatever. But now that I see that they have the sound library in there, I'm like, okay, now this makes sense, because I can actually I'm hoping that they're going to be, since it's a subscription base, they're going to be adding more sounds, more sound packs and plugins to the sound library, and that way I can just always download them since I'm paying for it on a monthly basis. And but yeah, at the end of the day, I think it's good. I think for an iPad, this is the most comprehensive DAW that you can get right now. And it gets the job done, and it's not complicated. There's a little bit of a learning curve, but if you already use Logic, this is probably nothing to you. The transition should be pretty easy. But even for somebody like me who uses Ableton Live on daily basis, coming to here, it was still pretty intuitive, and I can actually get going and make a beat. And at the end of the day, that's what matters, is how fast can you pull this out and browse through your sounds and compose and make a beat. Let me guys know what you think about this app. If you're happy, if you're excited about it, if you're gonna get it, if you're using it, if there's any tips that you'd like to share, if anything else you guys want to see, you want me to cover using this app, I will definitely be looking into this. I'll probably do some videos on like sampling, on digging deeper into some of the plugins that they already have here, and I'm looking pretty forward to it. And one last thing, if you want to give this a try, right now they are giving 1 month free, so you get to try it for free for a month and see if it's something that fits your workflow, or something that you can get more music out of it. But anyways, if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification button to get notified future videos. Until next time, keep making more music.